So now, what's one belief about education, or even about life in general, that you hope the next generation completely rewrites?
Instead of the glass being half empty, I want students to come up understanding that the glass is half full. A glass being half full means there's still hope. It means that I can still reach that goal.
Every voice has a story, every story has a moment.
Breaking the silence, taking the dive in. Nikki pulling strings like she playing the violin. Made in his likeness, radiant vibrance. Give them all glory, ain't no way to deny it. She gon' make you laugh, she gon' stimulate your mind. Making things shake, she ain't in no wasting time. They can come close, but can't imitate the grind. Got a different way to illustrate and innovate designs. BTS podcast, gotta watch that. Teaching us the game, that mean Nikki got class. If you watch it once, you gon' wanna stop back. This an opportunity that you cannot pass. Unleash your inner voice, cause better days coming. Better days, get ready for better days. Better days, better days. Better days, get ready for better days. Better days, better days.
Every voice has a story. Every story has the power to inspire, and every moment of silence deserves to be broken. Welcome back to another episode of Breaking the Silence podcast, where I amplify voices that educate, empower, and transform lives. I'm your host, Nikki Nicole, and today I'm sitting down with someone whose impact reaches far beyond the classroom through advocacy, leadership, and power of storytelling. She's helping educators while creating spaces where voices are heard and lives are changed. So after her countdown, let's continue to break the silence with Dr. Heather A. Robinson. Hey, how are you doing today?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. So now, when I went to your website and then I read your bio, I was like, wow, she's amazing. So now you got to give them a little bit more than I gave, because I gave them a little snippet.
Woo, yo, I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible because my story is long because I'm not somebody that just jumped in business because I ran from it. So I'm gonna go back and then bring you back to current day. In 2010, this is 2026. Wow. Back in 2010, the Lord gave me anointed to write. And it kept coming up everywhere. And I was like, I'm from Philly. Nobody puts a number in their business. That's whack. That's not for me. I went to school with somebody that had my same exact name. They had the same middle initial, and our social security number, the last number was the only thing that was the same. So I was like, if I'm that close to somebody, maybe that's for somebody else. I kept running from it. And everywhere I went, look to the left, there it was. Look to the right, there it was. Went to sleep, there it was. It didn't matter where I went or what I did, it was right there. And so anointed, the number 2 right is what kept coming up. So I ignored it and I started writing my first book in 2012, believe it or not. So I'm writing. I go through a divorce. I Don't know what I did with the manuscript. Got to start back over.
Oh
Pick it
no.
back up. I pick it back up and I start over. And in 2016, I actually was introduced to a publisher. Now, I did traditional publishing with the first book because he was a reverend, he had integrity, and I was one of his first authors. And he was not expensive, but this is the kicker. He wanted to see me become a published author just as much as I did.
Nice.
That was the buy-in. So I did that. 2019, he passed away.
Oh.
2019, he passed away. I said, Lord, what am I going to do? You go to his website, no one responds. There's no way to get in contact. All of a sudden, his website was taken down. So I said, all right, Lord, you're going to have to tell me what to do because that's not his character. He passed away. So I went on LinkedIn and I remembered I was connected to his daughter. I reached out to her. She explained they were revamping things. They didn't get a chance to reach out with everything that was going on. So when I signed the contract, it's a 3-year contract, which is more than fair for anyone that's going to go into traditional publishing. After 3 years, if you want to continue, you let it roll over. If not, 30 days before your contract is up, you put it in writing. They release it back to you, and you go and do whatever you're going to do. Well, they gave me the option to stay with them while they were revamping or to get the rights back to the book. I chose to get the rights back. Here I am with this book that's been out since 2017. It's 2019. I had to take it off Amazon. I had to take it off of everything that I trusted, right? Because in my mind, it was Amazon or it was nothing. So the Lord brought back to my remembrance. Now remember, this is 2019 from 2010. That's 9 years later. So I drag my feet, and the Lord keeps saying, anointed to write, anointed to write. This is a lesson when you don't listen. And then this is also a lesson when you listen and you hear it halfway.
Right.
So keep tracking with me, y'all. I'm going somewhere. So in 2020, not only did I get in contact with the graphic designer of my cover, and he actually said, I give you permission to go ahead and use that same cover when you go and publish it again. Not only did I publish a season of pressing, but I also published my 30-day devotional and another book. So in 2020, I self-published 3 books under Anointed to Write. And that's how Anointed to Write was born. So I launched Anointed to Write January 26, 2021, which was my birthday.
Wow.
But it goes further.
Uh-oh.
So in 2024, because now we're talking about Educators Rise, Voices of Change, right? It's the DEI Impact Anthology, Bridging the Gaps. We're talking about that. 2024. I've been an educator for 23 years. So in 2024, I was at 21 years, and I had a girlfriend ask me, what are you running from? And I'm looking at her like she's crazy. Like, what do you mean, what am I running from? I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. What are you talking about? God will put the right people in your, he put the right people in your life to show you what you're missing. I heard Anointed to Write, but I didn't hear the bigger picture. So the tagline for Anointed to Write was giving a voice to those who feel silenced. I was dealing with people in grief. I'm an educator. So what my girlfriend was telling me was, when are you going to start utilizing your expertise in the field of your authorship? And I was like, okay. And she said, let me just ask you a question. I didn't know she was taking notes, but I do this too when I talk to people, so I can't be upset. She said, let me ask you a question. If you were doing a book for educators, what would you want to do? I said, I want educators to rise, because when I was a kid, educators rose to the occasion, and I don't feel like we do that anymore. It's time for educators to rise. And she said, okay, well, what does that mean? What can educators rise and do? We can be a voice of change. She said, okay, educator rise, voices of change. What was your dissertation on? And in my dissertation, I talked about bridging the gaps that so easily separates us, specifically dealing with DEI. So she said, I got it. She said, you're going to do an anthology. It's going to be Educators Rise, Voices of Change, the DEI Impact, Bridging the Gaps. And I'm going to show you exactly what to do. An hour later, she sent me the cover, because we had a conversation about how I wanted the cover to be. I said, I want 2 bridges and I want there to be a gap between the bridge because we're bridging the gap, right? And so one side of the bridge represents education, the other side represents so many different things. So I gave her a concept and I said, I want to use bright, vibrant colors. And she was like, what are some colors that you've had in your classroom? And I told her, that's the cover she came up with based off of what I told her.
Wow.
Not only did she do the cover, but she did the flyer, for which was the call for authors.
Wow.
And then she connected me with her graphic designer. She showed me what to do for an author call. And I did it. And I got authors that entrusted me with their writing, like the integrity of their writing. When you are visionary of an anthology and someone trusts you enough to allow you to be in charge of publishing what they have, that's
That's
a
big.
tall order.
Yeah.
You got to look at editing, you got to look at formatting, you have to look at graphics, you got to look at how you want your cover. Now you just showed my cover. The way the covers are for my co-authors, their names on the front, and on the back is their picture and their actual bio.
Mm.
So just kind of carrying that and what it meant. We did the anthology. We did an in-person conference. It was my first time being a visionary of an anthology, first time doing an in-person conference solo. That was my bucket list. Check, check. I said, all right, I'm done. But then people were asking me about volume 2. And
See?
then I got through volume 2 and then I went into prayer and I said, Lord, what are you doing? Because majority of what I'm doing now is based on education, DEI, leadership, training, which is what I wanted to do anyway with my PhD in educational organizational leadership. So in March of this year, Anointed to Write, which is who I am, actually transitioned to Educators Rise Enterprises, which is what the business is. So when I said this is a lesson of not listening, because I waited from 21 to actually listen, and then not hearing correctly, because I am anointed to write, but that's who I am. That's not the business. Anointed to Write is more than just a writing business. I'm training teachers. I'm also an educator. I'm creating trainings and webinars. And I just actually on the 23rd of June did a summit. And I was one of the speakers and I presented, and the summit was something that I had never heard of. But when I heard of it, I was like, this is something big in Pennsylvania. So it was the Pennsylvania Educators Diversity Consortium. They put together an annual summit and it was Unleashed and Unafraid.
Nice.
Perfect timing. Merged perfectly with what I was doing. And God removed me from my job on June 12th. Before I knew that he was taking me from that job, one night I was an insomniac. I went in and I just applied. I did a proposal for that. I didn't know I was going to get a call back. I was like, let me just do it. I'm up. I don't have nothing else to do. Then I get the call back that we're ready for you. So now here I am at the beginning. I'm like, now I got to create this. I got to create this for the summit. I need to have slides. I need a facilitator guide. I need a workbook. So I just started doing that. And in the process, I left my job afraid. Won't go too in detail with that because I don't want to incriminate anybody. But I hear from a lot of people that I left just in time before a lot of stuff started transpiring that would not have benefited me and my degree. Wow. But I left so afraid because I didn't want to leave. And I just remember my husband saying, you got to go because it's going to get worse. And here we are today.
Ooh,
Hi, Educators Rise Enterprises.
Wow. Talk about being hard-headed. You ran that whole time from your purpose.
I was running for my life.
And you here, but it took years later. But the thing that got me out of that whole story is that you wrote a book, you gave away the rights to it, then you came back again and wrote 3 more books. Wow. So now take me back to the day that you realized, that particular day you realized your calling wasn't just to teach, that it was to change lives. And what happened on that day that, said, you know what, this is what I need to do?
Well, I think the realization came before I accepted it. Because for me to step out on faith and actually go through with doing an anthology and then putting together an in-person conference, that was so outside of my scope. Most people have a team when they do conferences. My team was me, myself, and I had my sister-in-law help me with the decorations. But
Nice.
the logistics of it was all me. I
Nice.
had never, ever, ever done a conference before. I knew people who did, and I really didn't pull on a lot of people. I think I pulled on one girlfriend to see what her program looked like, and that was it.
Wow, that's amazing. And I'm sure it was a lot of work too, because an event in general
It's a
is a
lot of
lot of
work.
work. Yeah,
It's a lot of
especially
work.
when you're a one man show to do it all. That's a lot.
It's a
So I
lot of work.
commend you on that now.
Tell you this,
So
I did the same thing this year, but I won't next year. Next year I'll have a team.
I know that's right. I said the same thing about my third event. Next year, oh, I gotta have a team. It's rough. It
Hmm.
really is.
It
So
is.
now I think that we all have like one person that saw something in us before we saw it ourselves. Who was like one person for you? And if they were watching today, what would you tell them right now in this moment?
What actually spearheaded this was two people. It was Shamika Livingston, and I actually met her on Facebook. So it is possible to build relationships with people on Facebook. And
Yes.
my husband, Elder Christopher Robinson, people are in, like I said, God puts people in your life to show you things that you're too stubborn to see or things that you're not ready to see.
Yes.
And when God ordains you to be married to someone, whatever your call is, he's not just going to show you, he's going to show your spouse, because you
Mhm.
guys are helping each other get to that end goal. But what was fascinating was having a girlfriend that was watching from afar but paying that much attention.
Mm.
So when you talk, sometimes people are listening to rebuttal. She actually was hearing me.
Nice.
And that's how she was able to present me with, I done already paid for your flyer and your book cover. Now you got to do it.
She believed in you.
And that's how it started. Now going into this as a business, it was my husband. It was a little bit of me kind of going back and forth with, I know education is where I'm supposed to be, but I've outgrown the classroom and I need to have a bigger reach and my impact needs to be greater. And then Sasha Walton, who's one of my keynote speakers on the 18th, she's someone also that's like pour, 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 pour. Right? She'll see something, she'll pour. She'll see something, she'll pour. And then she's my sounding board. I can send her stuff and she'll tweak it, or she'll say, yes, that works. Or no, 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 let's try it this way. Having the right people in
Yes.
place in your life at the right time that are not jealous and are there
Yes.
to help catapult you to your next is really important.
Yes, yes, and it's easier. When you have people that are aligned with you and your vision, and they believe in your vision, everything will flow perfectly. But
Hmm.
when you have people that, like you said, are jealous or don't want to see you go to the next level, you'll start getting them hiccups, them dead ends. Everything will just start falling apart. You can't never see yourself getting somewhere. But when you have some people in your life that truly were God led to you,
Hmm.
ain't nothing but with God in the period, nothing's gonna fail anyway. But when
Right.
he send you those people, you gotta hold on to them people. So you
Yep.
are blessed to have those kind of people in your life.
Hmm.
So now you've been doing this for a long time, 20 years, right?
I've been in education 23.
Okay, so now that's a long time to keep showing up for people. It's hard showing up for ourselves. So what keeps your heart in it? And even on those days, when you're exhausted or you're discouraged and you're like, you know what, enough is enough. I don't want to do this no more.
When I was a kid, they did it for me.
Mm.
I had an IEP with 5 sections, and I had a village. You know the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I had
Yes.
I had my father, I had my teachers, I had the administration team, I had the IEP team. They all came together to ensure that little old me got from where I was to where I needed to be.
Nice.
And so I still, since I came up in that, I still believe it takes a village.
It does.
And my positioning now today, transitioning from the classroom, is to train teachers and administrators that we got to get back to that, because here's where the disconnect is. Administrators' hands are tied. Sometimes they're not supportive, sometimes their hands are tied. And so they can't do but so much because they don't own the place.
Right.
Teachers don't feel like they're supported by administrators. Parents feel like they're being attacked when the teacher wants to talk to them about their child. So that partnership's not there. And because students see that, they're running amok.
Hmm. 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 But back in the day, we had church, we had school, we had the neighbors, we had pretty much everybody that was pouring. Well, in my time, I had everybody that was pouring. I had mentors in my church. If I did something wrong and they saw me in the public eye doing it, my mother was told.
Yeah.
And it was back then where your neighbors and your church members could even discipline you. That's how much of a village I had back in the day. But now I think what it is, the generation has changed, the parents have changed, and
Hmm.
they get so offensive when somebody come to them about their child. So the village is just gone. But we need that
Yeah.
because everything starts at home, but then you got to venture out to school. You got to venture out to church. You're going to learn something every which way that you go in life. And
Yeah.
you need that. But I agree. I agree. But people celebrate awards, they celebrate accomplishments, but they rarely see the sacrifices. So what's something that you quietly gave up in order to become the woman you are today?
You have to give up self.
Ooh,
If you're going to be in education, and I can't speak to other careers,
right.
but if you're in education for the money and that's your motive, this is not the place.
No. Ooh,
You
no.
can make good money in education, but this is not the place for you to be mentally if that is your motive. If you're not here to bring change, to make impact, or to make a difference, this is not the field for you. And you
Mm,
do have to sacrifice self because you will have sleepless nights.
yes.
You might miss a meal. People say, oh, teachers have it made. They have off on the summers, nights, and weekends. No, that's not how it works. You still got to grade papers. You still got a lesson plan. You still have to make phone calls. You might have to stay after to have a meeting with a parent. You might have to stay
Mm,
after to do something with a child. Or you might have to do, I don't even know if they do it anymore. They used to do in house detention where you
mm.
have detention during recess. Well, a teacher is giving up one of their prep periods to do that.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different things that you have to do in order to be an effective educator. Effective.
And then the education is different now because back then, you had teachers that were seasoned, that been doing it for a long time. But now you, like you said, you got these educators that come in for the money and that's it. But sometimes teachers have to be counselors, therapists. Like children now go through so much, like
Mhm.
things that back in my day we didn't deal with, the things they deal with now. They're dealing
Right.
with being at home with parents that don't care or barely having food or shelter, all types of things they deal with. So to me, educators get it worse now because they have to wear so many hats now
Yeah.
versus back then, you know? So now what part of your journey do you think prepare you the most though for the work that you do and you're doing today, but it didn't make sense until years later?
Being the child that needed an advocate.
Mm.
I had the advocate. And so what I know what it's like to be the child that needs it and the need was fulfilled. And
Mm.
because of what that did for me, I don't want a child to know what it feels like when that need is not fulfilled.
Right.
And educators and administrators alike need to understand that, even parents, because a lot of times parents depend on us as the teachers to do things and to show them things. But you got to build that trust first. If you're not building a relationship with your students, they're not going to trust you. If you're not building a relationship with the parents, you call them, they're going to press reject. They ain't going to have time. I got to go to work. I can't talk to you right now. I got to drop him off. Oh, it's
Hmm.
pickup time. I got to go pick up his brother or his sister. I got to go. I'm sorry. They're not going to make the time because they feel like you are targeting their child and that you don't care.
Yeah.
The way to show that you care is to build relationship. And that's how you build trust.
Mm.
As a child, and I talked about this when I did my teaching on the 23rd, as a child, I'm going to perform based off of how I feel. If I feel
Right.
defeated, I'm going to give the bare minimum. If I
Hmm.
feel valued, seen, and heard, I'm going to give you my best.
Right. Right.
It sounds easier said than done
Right.
because it takes time to get a child in your classroom to feel like they are seen, heard, and valued. One thing I did in my last classroom this past school year, are saying, well, I copied it, I took it, but I turned it around. We listen and we don't judge. That's for when someone stands up in front of the class and they present what they have. So instead of saying, aha, so and so did such and such, or teasing them, you'll hear people say, oh, Jimmy, I like that you use red for your mom's hair. Your mom's hair is really red. I saw her. Honest. Those are the kind of conversations that we had instead of the teasing and the taunting.
Right.
When someone was learning how to write their letters and they finally got the grasp of writing the first letter in their name, it was, oh my goodness, everybody look. Heather wrote the H in her name. Children learning and celebrating one another is why I stole that saying, we listen and we don't judge.
Wow. So now, what's one belief about education, or even about life in general, that you hope the next generation completely rewrites?
Instead of the glass being half empty, I want students to come up understanding that the glass is half full. A glass being half full means there's still hope. It means that I can still reach that goal. If I had one IEP with 5 sections, one being a speech impediment, my speech was so horrible. People don't believe it today.
Wow.
This is what advocacy and speech therapy does for you.
Wow.
If I can do it, anybody can do it.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful. You went all the way with it. So now let's talk about the conference that you have coming up. Tell me a little bit about more about this and what made you go to this. Is the second annual one, right? Let's talk about that.
So when I had the anthology and we had the book and the authors were really, I don't know, they were like really energized and vibrant and we were going, going, going. I said, you know what? One of the things that I should do, because for Educators Rise Enterprises, I still want to give a voice to educators. I want them to rise and I want them to use their voice to bring about change as we are bridging these gaps. I said, let's create a stage. So let's put them on my platform and let them have a platform that's not their own to get on and speak about what they are writing about and what they believe as educators, advocates, administrators, coaches, leaders, teachers, whatever it is that you do in the education realm. Most of the co authors that I have are also parents. So as we are going from the first to the second annual conference and going from the first to the third volume, this is full circle for me because I have completed one full anthology series. So
Nice.
this is not just celebrating volume 3, it's celebrating the fact that we have completed the entire series. So the awards were well thought out. The itinerary was well thought out. The keynote speakers were well thought out. Everything was well thought out for this because this is bigger for me than I thought it would be. Because when I sat down and thought about it, yeah, it's an annual conference, but this is closing out the chapter of the Educators Rise Voices of Change, the DEI Impact Anthology Bridging the Gaps.
Wow.
And so, because that is closing out an era, it means something bigger. And
Mm.
so, when I see breaking the silence for the podcast, I'm like, wow, I'm trying to break the silence for educators.
Right. That was I loved it. I loved
Because
it.
when you are an educator, sometimes it's difficult to have a conversation with a member of administration. For
Absolutely.
whatever reason, you can feel you don't have the expertise, it's not your place. They're going to feel like you're trying to tell them how to do their job. There's a lot of things that come to the surface with that. So that's why I was just like, you know, we really need to do it with a bang. So I have surprises up my sleeve for my co-authors and for those that are going to be a part of it. I do have a videographer coming, so it's going to be very interesting. I have it where I'm going to have a table with the books on it. I also have, I see you have it here, that my limited time offer is the first 10 people to register will receive an autographed copy of one of the 3 anthologies. Here, well, one of the 3 volumes of the anthology. So you're not just getting a ticket and a seat, you're actually also getting a copy of one of the books. And let me tell you, every volume has its own je ne sais quoi. Volume 1 is the first volume, it's the baby. This one right here is where it all started. Volume 2, we did a virtual launch of it. And volume 3, we are bringing this thing full circle.
Wow.
So to be able to bring it full circle is just, it's one of my biggest accomplishments in business.
Nice.
Because it's something that I did not know that I could do.
Wow. So now when people walk away from your conference, what do you want the conversation to be when they're driving home after this event? What do you want them to say about this event?
DEI is not just a buzzword, and DEI is for the people. It's not just for Black people. It's not just for men. It's not just for women. It's not just for children. It's not just for education. DEI is for the people, because at minimum, when you look at diversity, equity, and inclusion, you look at everyone wants to feel like they belong.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone wants to feel valued. Everyone wants to feel seen and heard. Everyone wants to have their needs met. So I'm meeting you where you are. And I also talk about the difference between equality and equity. Equity meets you where you are. Equality gives you what I give everyone else.
Oh, I like that.
I'm giving everybody the same thing. Equality. Everybody's getting an equal share of whatever it is that I'm giving. And equity, I'm meeting you where you are. And so when we talk about individualizing our lessons in school, for instance, that is meeting students where they are. Because if you and I are in the same class and you catching it quick and I'm struggling, the teacher can't teach me the same way they teach you. So you have to curtail it to meet me where I am, while at the same time not allowing you to be bored in the process. So they have to take it up a notch with you so that you feel like you're not bored, but you are being engaged.
Right.
So here's the advanced lesson for you, but here's the modified for you, because I'm meeting you both where you are.
Love it.
Diversity is representation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see Black women in the classroom? Do you see Black men in the classroom? Do you see women in the classroom? Do you see men in the classroom? Do you hear them speaking Spanish? Are we speaking Pig Latin? Are we speaking Japanese? This is all representation. So you got representation, being in a position where your needs are being met, and feeling seen, heard, and valued. This is the bare necessity. Like, this is a human bare necessity. We all want to feel represented. We all want our needs to be met, and we all want to feel valued. That's DEI in a nutshell, for the people.
Love it. Wow. So now, God forbid, as we wrap up our conversation, God forbid, if you lost every title tomorrow, what part of yourself would nobody be able to take away?
That name right there, Heather, that first name, nobody can take that away. You can take my last name and that away. You can take my credentials away. You can take my hair away. You can take my features away. You could take the business away. You could take the money, the house. You could take everything away. But you can't take who I am to my core away. You can't take who I am to my core. You can't take my purpose.
Mm.
And so my purpose as Heather, regardless of if it's my maiden name or my married name, my purpose as Heather is still my purpose, whether you strip everything from me or you don't.
Mm.
And I was talking about this earlier. God made each of us to be unique. You and I can be identical twins. Our fingerprints are not the same. And I've been saying that for years as an educator because I've had a lot of twins. One of my keynotes, he actually talks about that too. But there's no carbon copy. God made every one of us different. Me and my sister have the same mother, the same father, grew up in the same house. We're 3 years apart. We are two totally different people.
Totally different. Totally different.
God, God designed it that way.
Yeah.
When you learn who you are and your identity and whose you are,
Ooh.
that's where you start stepping into purpose. I think I did a post that said, obedience leads to repentance and repentance leads to restoration.
Mm,
I can't be restored without the two.
mm.
So, yep.
I say that all the time, but but a person like me, it took a while for me to really understand just what you just said. When you know who you are,
Yeah.
man, it's like putting fire in your feet because
Hmm.
now you're running for everything that you can get because you finally stepped into who you God was said you was gonna be from the beginning,
Yeah.
but you just didn't know it. You didn't know it. You didn't even know
Right.
how to get there. You know. So now this is the moment for you to let everybody know how to follow your journey, how to come to the conference, anything you want them to know, and to give educators out there a little bit of advice. Out there now, the educators now versus back then. So after the countdown, I'm passing the mic to you. Okay.
Okay.
So before I pass the mic, I just want to say thank you. I am grateful to be able to converse with some amazing people doing amazing things every day and share them with you so you can know about these people. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting Breaking the Silence. It means the world to me. So if this space has inspired you, challenged you, or made you feel seen in some type of way, do me a favor. Subscribe to this channel, like this episode, share it with someone who needs it, and drop that comment and let me know you're here because I want to hear your thoughts. Your support means everything to me. It keeps these conversations going. So now, let me pass the mic so you can know how to get in contact with this amazing guest. So let's get back into this episode.
All right, guys. The best way to get in contact with me is educatorsriseenterprise.com or educatorsrise@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram under Educators Rise Enterprises and on LinkedIn under Dr. Heather Robinson. One thing that I would say to educators, up and coming and those that are going out, whatever it is, you matter. Your voice matters. Your voice can make a change. Your call is greater than what you will ever know. And you're never going to feel appreciated the way you should be. But understand that the students in your care appreciate everything that you do for them. If you are going into education or you're thinking about it, my advice to you is this: if you don't have a heart for it, don't go into it. If you're going into it for a paycheck, don't go into it. That is not the field to go into for a paycheck, or if you don't have the heart for it. If you do have a heart for it, go into it, because you can either work your way up to become an administrator, or you can do like I did and you can step out and go into business. You can link arms with other people that are in business. The call right now is to stand up, use your voice, be the change that you want to see, and help to bridge the gap that so easily besets us or so easily separates us using DEI. Remember, diversity, equity, inclusion means representation, meeting people where they are, and allowing people to feel seen, heard, and valued. My name is Dr. Heather Robinson, and it has been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and being a guest on my platform. It was a pleasure meeting you. I hope that this doesn't be the last time we talk. So anything that you have going on your end, share it with me because I can share it with my audience and we can continue to win together. It don't have to start here. It don't have to stop here. So don't be a stranger. I tell everybody that don't be a stranger. Let's stay connected and let's continue to break the silence together. Let's continue to win together. And if you want to come back again, We can do that again. But thank you to everybody else, for tuning into another episode of Breaking the Silence podcast. Remember, your story has power, your voice has value, and your journey matters. So until next time, I'm your host, Arthur Nikki Nicole. Be blessed, keep breaking the silence, and always unleash your inner voice. Later, everybody.
Better days, slowly but surely it's a better space. That'll waste my mind, so I meditate till I levitate. I elevate when I learn not to hesitate. No more, keep moving forward. Chase my goals and focus more towards it. Hate the lows, but I need those to flourish. Place my goals in front, that's what's important. So I ask myself what inspires me. Breaking out of my shell, feeling yo shot quiet me. And now I'm breaking the silence like I'm Nikki Nicole. Let's go. Promise you gon' see better days. Gotta keep going till you see them. Promise you gon' see better days. You gotta keep going till you see them.